Hello everyone and welcome to your Monday edition of the Blood Red podcast, brought to you by the Liverpool Echo. I'm your host Theo Squires, and Liverpool are 15 points clear at the top of the Premier League table. That number's just getting bigger and bigger, isn't it? It's another big week for the Reds this week. We've got a bumper episode for you as we look over the events of the weekend with a huge decisive say in the title race. And we also look forward to Tuesday night's mouth-watering Champions League game against PSG, getting muddled up there. So joining me, we've called up the creme de la creme. Firstly, our LFC correspondent, both home and away, Paul Gorst. How are you, Gorsty?
Very, very well, yeah. It's a busy week, isn't it? We always say that it doesn't really stop at Echo Towers, but it certainly doesn't stop when you're going for the Premier League titles and Champions Leagues and small matters of the Carabao as well on Sunday. So, Arne spoke about it being the first of 3 finals on Friday, didn't he? And the first one was negotiated well, and all good.
Next to Gorsty, as promised on Friday, we've got a very special guest. He scored 63 goals and 104 appearances for Liverpool after completing a dream move to his boyhood club in 1987. It is, of course, Reds legend, most importantly, Liverpool Echo columnist, John Aldridge. Thanks for joining us, Aldo.
That's okay.
It's a pleasure to have you here. How are you doing?
You. Yeah, good. Yeah, I've had my Monday workout in the gym to get the week started. I'm looking forward to tomorrow, obviously. Good result yesterday. You know, I quite wanted the draw, to be quite honest. You know,
Didn't you want United win? Did you not bring yourself to the...
No. You know the score.
Yeah.
I'm old school, you know. The way it is between the two of us. Look, now it was a good result. Probably a fair result, to be quite honest. And it's knocked them back a couple of points. I've fully thought that Arsenal would win. But it shows you where they are at the moment a little bit, with all due respect to United. They played quite well, or they work the game quite well. But they are the blunts up top.
Yeah.
You know, and I think if they would have had the strikers available, the Sakas and such, I think it'd have been a fair bit closer. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Liverpool started the weekend and they needed 21 points to win the league, and now they only need 16. So that just shows you what a kind of sharp swing it can be if results go your way. So, yeah, I'm with you. I think Arsenal, as soon as Havertz got injured in Dubai, it kind of looked like they were going to struggle for goals, because they already, the biggest sort of criticism of them anyway was that they lacked a striker. They lacked someone to go and get the goals. And when you've got Saka injured, Havertz pulls up, Martinelli was out at the time, really up against it. And so it's proven, they're playing Mikel Moreno up top, and they're just not really firing, are they? So, yeah, it looks like the title is going to be Merseyside bound, I guess.
Well, no, don't say that.
Well,
no. Not until it's in the bag, do you know what I mean?
We are live on YouTube, so as always, get your questions in for Gorsty and Aldo. I haven't had anyone in my Insta DMs over the weekend, so I'll have to wait for your comments to
you'll
flood
have to
in.
ask the questions yourself.
Yeah, I'll have to think up myself, yeah. Before we can really kick things off, we'll do our usual shout-out to sponsors, NordVPN. If you haven't signed up with the cyber security wizards by now, I just want to let you know I'm not angry, just very disappointed. Come on, you should know about this by now. It's a great deal. They're really helpful for us on away days in Europe, though maybe not Aston Villa.
Yeah,
but yeah, usually they do the business on those sorts of trips. So to get the best discount off your NordVPN plan, go to nordvpn.com/bloodred. Our link will also give you 4 extra months on the 2-year plan. There's no risk with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. The link, as always, is in the podcast episode description box. We do have some breaking news coming out from Kirby, and it's Liverpool in open training. And Cody Gakpo is back. He's missed the last couple of games with a knock. That's a massive boost for Liverpool, isn't it, gents, having him back?
It's an option. We do need options, obviously, all over the place. And to have all our forwards fit now, with even Chiesa, for the manager to, if things go wrong, to do something different to the opposition, give them something else to muse upon. And he does it well, Gakpo. He's scoring this year. He's been about 1 and 3.
I think he's got, is it 15 or 16? It's certainly his highest scoring season since he's been here.
That's what we expected when he come, especially from left wing sort of position rather than down the middle. I think he's had a really good season.
I think he's grown in importance actually in the last sort of 2 or 3 months. Certainly at Anfield he always seems to score, doesn't he? Yeah. And the goals he scored have been important goals as well. He gets the scored against Brighton in that one, scores against Leicester on Boxing Day. Yeah, he just seems to be contributing. He gets the equaliser against United, doesn't he? And I think he's been transformed really since he's moved off the left. Jürgen was trying to sort of reinvent him, wasn't he, into a bit of a number 9, but Slot's come in and said, this is where you made your name. where I remember you from, being a big star in Holland. So that's where you're going to play for me. And yeah, he's having a great season. So great to have him back.
We'll go on to Southampton now, get it out of the way, because I'm sure we're all looking forward to PSG. Rubbish first half, better second half, but another important 3 points.
Rubbish. I think that you've been very kind. There was no urgency. I think personally, and I've been there as a manager and a player in particular, sometimes you top v bottom, and you go subconsciously, you expect things to happen for himself. You don't make them happen. And I think that what happened, that the players didn't mean it deliberately, obviously, but they took it in stride. That's one of those games we're going to get through and we'll win and all that. So you don't give as much as what you should. But it's subconsciously, you think you are, but you don't. And I think that's what happened in the first half. It was dire. It was, and by all accounts, Arne's gone ballistic, quite rightly so. Because sometimes you need a right kick up the backside as players, and there was quite a few that could have come off at half time. The ones that he brought off for a reason, he did, but he had the effect, and strong words, and you hit a nerve in players, and then the cop responded, and then the first 10 minutes we were back on track. Second half.
Yeah, I think Mo Salah said to BBC, didn't he, that Slot was really throwing his head in some sort of turn of phrase that sort of read a bit awkwardly, but I think what he meant was Slot was furious with them all. And we spoke to Virgil after the game, and he said that that's the angriest that Slot's been since he's been at the club. So certainly, we went in there with the rockets. And
I think with what was at stake, and you play in the bottom of the league, you'd expect it to come in at half time 1-0. Yeah. It's a massive shock.
I mean, especially because he wasn't on the touchline as well, so he couldn't be there to give them the verbals.
That's what we were talking to the ex-players on Saturday, because when you're on the sideline, you can actually vent your anger and get it across, but he's stuck in the stand, so it's building up and building up and building up. So when you go into the dressing room, you're ready to explode, and obviously that's what's happened. But thankfully he did it, because other managers mightn't have done it, because the modern day player, really, you've got to be careful how you... Right. You contact with them at half time or full time. Some need a pat on the back, others need a kick up the backside, and you've got to work it out, because it's not like us dinosaurs, old school. We actually, when I was trammy manager, the Southampton game when we let me 3-0 in the cup, I scolded 2 players at half time, and I had a bill. I had a dry cleaning bill for about 50 freaking quid where I've given the teas, and the teas gone everywhere, and then we win 4-3. So that's the type of thing what happens, But yeah, I'm not averse to what he's done. But sometimes it's got to be done. And so well done to Arne, yeah.
And it's good to see that he's got it in his locker, because pretty much everything this season has gone well for him, apart from that Forest game. So it's nice to know that he can get a bit angry when he needs to.
Yeah, I must admit, we obviously speak to him every Friday, don't we? And there hasn't been much that's got under the skin. So you're struggling to see, is that there? Has he got that anger when it's needed? So it's good that when it is called for, he can bring it, because he's certainly shown with the referees he can kick off, can't he? And that's cost him a few quid already in a couple of games on the side as a result. But certainly when the players need a kick up the backside, like Aldo says, he can deliver it, and doesn't necessarily look like someone who can do that. So it's good that he's got the string to his bow.
Yeah.
We'll move on to Darwin Nunez now. We've already had a couple of comments. Looking forward to Aldo's take on him being a fellow striker. It was a bold call to leave him on after that silly yellow card, but it certainly paid off.
Yeah, well, I went on Twitter at half time saying I think Schmeichel should come off because he was struggled badly. His confidence was down as well, and Nunez in particular, because it was an off the cuff type of thing. What he did, it was very, very stupid, childish. Call it what you want. But he's getting stick off their fans, and he knows what they're on about, because you see when he scored, he's give it the us sign to them and all that. So everyone's playing it, and it's got on top. You've just got to be so careful, because if he was to have been sent off, it could have cost us 2 points. It made me we're still in the game. Don't get me wrong. So you've got to learn behind that. And it's good to see players have got that response, but you've got to tone it down, and it's all right for me to say I was the nutter at times when I played. But I can understand. But I thought he would have subbed him at half time, but he didn't. Yeah. And whatever he said to him, he came on and he did well. In the 25 minutes or so he played second half, I thought he'd done a lot better.
Yeah, he changed the game, didn't he? He obviously gets the equaliser and then wins the penalty, and it was a bit of a, wherever you stand on Darwin Nunez, and everyone's got an opinion on him because, you know, he's really dropped out of the sort of discussion, has he, since he's been here. But that was a Darwin Nunez performance in a nutshell, wasn't it? You know, first half he struggled, missed a couple of chances, didn't really get involved in the game. And then bit of petulance. The crowd are winding him up. He shows that they are winding him up, that it's in his head, and then he goes and scores and has a big say in the, you know, which way the points went. Yeah. So, you know, it was just Nunez in a nutshell, really. But I wanted to ask you, John, is, you know, he's clearly a striker who plays on emotion. You know, heart on the sleeve, and you're not too dissimilar. You've just said it then. You know, how difficult is it to rein that in? I mean, for him, he's not necessarily playing for his boyhood club, but you were. So was that difficult at times?
Wherever I went, you know, it was different in them days. Like, you know, you just put yourself about. You know, you're having fights with the centre half, and it was just a different game to what it is today. It's a lot more technical in it. So yeah, but he has got that on lock a bit. I watched him. About a month ago, he came on a sub, and he didn't sprint. I didn't watch the game. I watched him, and I'm thinking, if he doesn't sprint, if he doesn't challenge, he didn't put himself about, then he's got nothing. That's what he gives us. Yeah, you know, that extra little bit, and that way battling qualities. And then it's like he had we used to call it titty lip. You know, when you get like you know you because you're not playing, you're not starting, you get a cop on. You can't. You just can't. When you're a striker or anyone, you've got to score goals. If you want to be on that team sheet, the one reason Mo Salah's on that team sheet every game, because he scores, he creates. He mightn't play well. Like for me, Saturday, he struggled like hell, but he got the 2 penalties. But he'll always. His stats are there. You have to play him. Gakpo played more so on the left than Diaz because you look at his stats. Strikers, you live and breathe and earn your money by scoring goals. That's it. If I didn't score a goal and we won, I was still gutted. I was made up we won, don't get me wrong. Yeah. But I was gutted. And I was my worst own enemy, my own worst critic. But you have to score goals. You've got to score goals. I was told by Len Ashurst at Newport. He knew how much I love Liverpool when I was first got my contract. If you want to play for Liverpool, son, he said, you have to score 1 goal in every 2 games to make that. And I always remember playing Bournemouth in my early days there, and I scored after 10 minutes. I thought, oh, that's 2 games in. 2 games, you got a game under no in lieu, like. And then I got a second. I thought, oh, that's 4 games. I don't have to score it. And then in the score, and that's it before half time. But then that was embedded in my mind. So I get it now. The results are obviously most important, but you've got to look what you get paid to score goals. You've got to score goals. You've got to create. If you want to get your name in the team sheet, you have to score goals. It's as simple as that. You know, it is. I know the game's changed now, and you know it's rotated. I understand that, but it's not rotated the way Mo Salah is. If you've got a centre forward now like Haaland, he plays every game. Salah plays every game. There's rotation that comes in. Don't get me wrong, but that's what you know. And Jota at the moment, he's rusty because he's been in and out, had a couple of bad injuries at the wrong time, hasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, so Nunez is up to 7 now for the season. He's not going to get near what he got last season, which was 18. He even gets 15 in his first season, so he's clearly not getting the goals or the chances really that he was getting in Klopp's system as opposed to this one. But you know, I think he'll leave this summer, but I think he'll leave with his head held high for his contributions this season. When you look at Bournemouth when he gets the 2 goals in stoppage time, you know,
that's a good goal Saturday. You know, that was a great movement.
Yeah. Nice finish with it to let it sort of open up with his body and side footed in.
That's what he can do though when it's that instinct. When he doesn't have the time and it's just that natural movement. It's when we see him 1-on-1 or he's like against Villa, the open goal. That's when he can make a mistake. When he has to think
about it, sometimes he thinks too much and the pressure gets on top of him. I think when it comes natural and when it's quick, like that's okay.
Yeah.
So you think he's off?
Yeah, I think he'll go. I know there was interest in January, and it was almost like, you know.
Was that from the Middle East?
Yes, yeah. There was a couple from Middle East. I think AC Milan are sort of keeping track on it as well, whether they've got the money to pay what Liverpool might get from Saudi Arabian clubs, who remains to be seen really. But it was almost a bit of all hands on deck.
See, it's about the value with the owners. You know, what value would Darwin be at this present moment in time? We bought him for a lot of money, didn't we? What was it in the end?
So they paid 64 initially, and then it was like 21 million worth of add-ons. But 10 million of the add-ons, we believe, was related to appearances, which I think have already been unlocked, and then the rest was winning Champions League and or the Premier League, which might even happen this year.
So, money well spent, isn't it?
Yeah. So if he ends up being the club record signing and he leaves, with having helped secure those trophies, then you'd probably say it's been a success. But yeah, I just think this was his first start on Saturday since Boxing Day in the Premier League. I mean, we're nearly mid-March, so probably tells you.
Also, sorry, people don't realise, and it's a little bit unjust. Like someone said something about he scored 6 goals in 36 appearances or something like that at the weekend. It was noted. I think it was on BBC. But people don't realise, with all due respect, he's been coming on for 10 minutes. 10 minutes. So it's not a true valuation of what
I think per 90 minutes he was similar to Jota and Gakpo in the returns.
Yeah, right. So that's a little bit unfair to him. But look, he's the talk. And to be fair, it's good that we're not talking about the 3 lads who haven't signed the contracts, because we're talking on a different level now for someone else, aren't we?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about that all season, haven't we?
It's funny because things happen, and I really love to see him go on before the end of the season and score some vital goals. But he's got to, whether he starts or he comes on, he's got to play 1,000,000% and go through a brick wall. Because if he doesn't do that, he gives us nothing.
He's just a very hot and cold player, isn't he? Like, you've criticised his work rate against Wolves, against Aston Villa, so's Arne Slot. But then he gets a moment where it does click for him. Like, we've seen him get the assist in midweek. He's got the goal at the weekend. What have you made of that response from him since the manager spoke publicly?
To be fair, you shouldn't have to be like that. You should know yourself. The easiest thing for a footballer is to work hard. The hardest thing is to score goals, create goals, and play well. The easiest thing is to go out there and for like 90 minutes or whatever, run 10 miles or kilometres or whatever they do this day and age. That's the easiest thing to do. You can get an athlete, do that, but you have to do what you're paid for. Stop the goals, score the goals, and make the goals.
And Salah steps up. He is getting the goals. It's not his best game, as we've already touched on.
Do you know we talk about Salah? Because I was talking at the pints after the game, as I do normally, to celebrate. And I was very critical of Mo the last 2 games. Now, if he wants to be a Ballon d'Or, which I'd love him to get, he can't play like he did last Wednesday. He was just nothing, not Mo, nothing. He didn't win one challenge. He didn't, he was really poor. And on Saturday again, but someone reminded me it's Ramadan, and maybe that does. I'm looking. He might be weak. I don't know the ins and outs of it all, but there's something. Maybe that if there's an excuse. That could be the excuse, because he certainly wasn't himself in both games.
Yeah, I was having this discussion with someone at the training ground, actually, another journalist, and it was a question they were asking. Did that impact? And I think Ramadan has only recently started, actually. So, yeah. So, if that was the explanation for the poor performance, we could be in for a little bit of a dip in performances. But Liverpool have worked around. The Ramadan implications. I'm not too au fait with them, I must be honest, but they have tried to help the athletes who do fast and stuff, and it was something that they looked at certainly when Sadio Mane was there as well with Mo. But footballers of that faith who are sort of observing Ramadan, Liverpool do try and help where they can with the sports scientists and stuff. But it's an interesting one to keep an eye on, certainly. Yeah.
But you're looking at going back to Paris Saint-Germain. Last Wednesday night, he wasn't the only one. As you know, we were pretty horrendous on that day as well as the first half of the weekend. And I'm not one for stats normally. I look at them and some of them, I get that. But the alarming thing for me was there was 2 instances. The pass completion was 73% or something. Now we're normally at 90, aren't we? Something like that. That when you're giving the ball away, it's coming back. That's not good enough. And the two things I think for tomorrow night we need to do, that's got to be 85 to 90%. But the worst thing was the battles. 34% we won in battles. That tells you we were out battled, we were bullied all over the park. That's one thing tomorrow. Especially being old school, when I heard the comments of the players and the manager and some of the coaches or whatever, after the arrogance of Paris Saint-Germain, and let's look, you're looking at a club there that's never won a big trophy, to come out and say what they did. And they should have won, but they didn't, so we sucker punched them. It was so disrespectful to us and Anfield. And I'm hoping the fans respond tomorrow night and the players win the personal. If we win the personal battles, whatever player who's on against, if we win the personal battles and we will play better, we'll pass it better, we'll not only draw the game, we'll win the game because we're a better team than them. And that for me is like a red rag to a bull. If that was a player or even the manager, I'd be fuming. I'd want to go out and really show them what it's all at tomorrow night.
Yeah, it has been interesting, all that. I've seen there's an account on Twitter, Get French Football, I think, who've been sort of relaying what's been coming out of L'Equipe in France, who obviously the big publication there. And a lot of it has been sort of, Liverpool weren't up to much and Bayern Munich were better than them, Arsenal were better than them. And
we're going to beat them.
That's all fine and well, but they've still lost 1-0 at home.
They're giving the manager a free team talk,
well, yeah. Really? Well, me and Theo were going up to the press conference after this, and Luis Enrique's up there with Kvaratskhelia, the Georgian lad. So, be interesting to see what they say before the game. But something you said off air before we started recording was interesting to me. That the old school of put it up on the dressing room wall, and there's your team talk done. You actually did that.
Oh, I did that. Yeah, I did that. Tranmere, when we played Bolton in the semi-final of what now is the Carabao Cup. It was the Worthington Cup. It was a massive for us to get to Wembley, little Tranmere over. And we went to Bolton, we won 1-0 in the first leg. We played very well, I thought. But we had some derogatory remarks. I got the Bolton Evening News. So all it did, it's an old school, what we used to do. You get them on a clipboard. I got Les Parry to put them on the dressing room, and I didn't have a team talk. I just said, look, that's what that player said. That's what he said. That's what he said. Like, there you go. It's up to you. You got Wembley there. You got a good bonus there. Imagine going to Wembley, lads. And the first 20 minutes, we 2-0 up, game over. But we battered them.
It's such a contrast to how the Liverpool camp's been speaking. They've been so respectful for PSG. Yeah. All their players, it has been, before the first game, mouthy going, we're going to play like this. We're so confident, best team in Europe, blah, blah, blah. And now they're so confident they're going to get the goals. They're going to get that win. While it's probably a bit different nowadays because you've got a lot of nationalities in that dressing room, surely that's got to be mentioned. The players are going to know about it.
Absolutely. You talk about in the dressing room. I think Virgil's the one who, really to relay it to the players. Talk in today and then tomorrow before the game. Come on, you win your battle. Don't let him bully you. Don't let him get the best of you. And there was 3 or 4 really crucial combats in that game, especially in midfield. Where we have to win our battles. The crowd will do their job. I'm pretty sure about that. They won't know what's going to hit them, but they've got some brilliant players. Really, since they got rid of the hierarchy players, you know who they are. He's a good manager. He's got them playing like a Barcelona way with power, with the strength, with the pace, the players they've got. So when I watched them play Manchester City, I went, wow.
Yeah,
second
half. First time I saw them, yeah.
And so I had took a 1-0 defeat last week going into that game. To come out 1-0, I was absolutely, we all were delighted, weren't we?
Yeah, I mean, it was, I haven't seen Liverpool dominated like that all season. Liverpool have been...
I haven't seen that for donkeys years.
Yeah. But the interesting thing for me was, we spoke about Salah there not having his best game, but he was replaced by Harvey Elliott, and I thought Nuno Mendes played really well on the night, the left back, but it was almost like he thought, right, job done now, Salah's gone off. Good and he switched off. Yeah. Elliott's in there, and less than a minute, Liverpool have won the game. And also, for how brilliant Alisson was, which he was, it was Elliott's goal that reminded you how good Alisson was, because Alisson would have saved that one, wouldn't he, down the other end? So
he certainly would have, yeah.
Yeah, it's...
I made up for Elliott, I really was, because he's been scratching his head, he hasn't got the game time and all that. And he actually done well on Saturday when he come on,
he did.
Quite honest. So that was really pleased for him to get the headline. Well, but he didn't. Alisson got the headlines, but he got in there. But yeah, I can't wait for tomorrow's game. I really, I'm looking forward to it.
How do you see Harvey Elliott's future padding out? Because I know Slot said at the weekend it was a mistake to start Szoboszlai, but normally when you've got Curtis Jones, you've got Szoboszlai, and you've got Salah on the right as well. It is so hard to see Elliott getting the starting chances.
Do you know what, Theo? I think the problem Harvey's got is where'd you play him? For me, he's not a right winger. He's got to be involved. When he plays right wing, he doesn't get the ball enough. He's one of those players you've got to give him the ball all the time because he's a footballer.
Yeah.
He's a really good football, talented lad, young lad as well, with a lot of experience for his age. For me, like, you know, he's got to get what position. He can actually play in the midfield three that we've got. Yeah, he can. Maybe his defensive responsibilities, he might have to do a little bit better, maybe, if anything, you know, but like that's something that he can work on. He's only a baby in football terms. But going forward, his link-up play with Mo and Trent and Szoboszlai sometimes, if he's in, he links up brilliant and he gives you something different as an impact player. But he's got to be more of that, you know. But I really like him, and but you know we don't know what's going to go in pre-season because of the lack of game time he's had. You know, and he's a massive Liverpool fan, this lad, and his dad's a huge Liverpool fan. You know, so it'll be interesting to see that.
Well, you've been in that situation yourself, granted, quite a bit older, and it's your boyhood club, but you're not getting the game time, and you went to Real Sociedad.
Yeah, but it's a great shout, that Theo. But the one thing I wanted a new contract. I when Rushy come back, as I'm saying about Darwin, the gloves were off with me because 3 really top players, and I'm putting myself in that category. Rushy and Peter and myself, 3 into 2 doesn't go. So the first game was the Charity Shield against Wimbledon, and we went 2-1 and I scored 2. Then the first league game's away at Charlton, we went 3-0, I scored 3. Because it's game on. I want to play every single game. Anyway, that year I scored 31 goals in all competitions in about 40 starts. And that's me wanting my place. That's the hunger that I want to play for my club, who I adore and love. But then the pre-season starts, and the manager basically pushed me out the door, Kenny. That you know, he was looking when because I was after another 3-year contract. I wanted to stay at the club forever. But he said no. He's changing things around. He's going to go with Peter and Ian, and if I want to play, you know, then and when I said. And basically, he said, Real Sociedad come in for you. If you want to play, that's it. And I got that because Liverpool, I respect Liverpool didn't want me to go to a club that could bite them on the backside.
Yeah.
I respect that because we've always done that. Like Kevin Keegan went to Hamburg and such all the great Graham Souness went to Sampdoria and all that. So I got that, and it was a great move for me financially and everything about the Basque people I loved and adored. But I was willing to stay and stake my claim because whether young Harvey's going to do that, we'll have to wait and see. The manager's got to actually say to him, well, if you do this and you do that, and your place is there. Otherwise, it's going to be tough for the lad because he's good enough to play in the Premier League, isn't he? Else.
I mean, it's funny you mentioned the sort of the numerical conundrum there, 3 going into 2, because I actually think it's a bit similar with Elliott because, you know, at the moment, Slot's got 4 going into 3, hasn't he, with Jones, Szoboszlai, Gravenberch and McAllister, and then Elliott's sort of putting his hand up and trying to offer a little bit of a reminder, but you know that 5 into 3 isn't really going at the moment, isn't it? And I do think he's probably should have been given more of an opportunity at times. Like I was stunned he didn't come off the bench at Tottenham in the League Cup when he was struggling. He could have offered something different in the final third. Okay, didn't cover himself in glory at Plymouth, but no one did really. I think we can just sort of write that one off. But yeah, I thought he offered something very different to Szoboszlai as that number 10. Obviously, Szoboszlai's running 10k a game and all that stuff. Elliott's a bit more, you know, creative on the ball, so a bit more cerebral, but very different options. But just Elliott hasn't had as much of a look in as he probably should have, really.
And what did you both think of Slot admitting that it was the wrong decision to start Szoboszlai afterwards?
Yeah, I mean, Szoboszlai's run himself into the ground, hasn't he? And I'm surprised he started, really, given the amount of work he's put in over that run where they played City, Newcastle.
We said it after Man City, didn't we?
Yeah, so, I mean, that run of 5 games in 15 days, I think he plays them all, and, you know, he's top of the stats every time. Particularly against City, I think he ran 11.2 kilometres, which was the second most he'd run this season. I don't know what was number 1, but he's put in a hell of a shift, whatever game that was. So I'm surprised that he's just carried on playing him, really, particularly with this game being, only, in inverted commas, Southampton at home. And I think after half an hour he started to realise that maybe he should have given someone else a go. And Elliott's give the manager something to think about, really.
What do you think about it?
Yeah, look, I keep on saying I'm a dinosaur. I think sometimes when you mention about people being tired, you can plant a seed in their head and they think they are. I'm not saying that's the case, obviously, with Szoboszlai, because he does work. He grafts hard. He's a great boxer, but he's all over the place. He's like, it's brilliant to see the energy levels. But yeah, look, again, we're going back to the stats, and they've got all these technology things to tell you, but I wouldn't know. But he certainly, since Christmas, he's done really well. I like the way we spoke about it in the column a few times, haven't we? That he links up with Mo Salah now. Yeah, he links up really well. They've got like a bit of a thing going between the two of them, like two strikers used to go up top, and they know where they are. And obviously he's scoring more goals, which he has to do. He's responded to that from the manager by getting into the box and scoring goals, and from outside the box as well. But that's something that he's got to continue doing and be better at as well.
I think when you're not going to dominate the ball, he's ideal, isn't he, for his running power, just to get about the pitch and unsettle PSG. When they're in possession, the likes of Vitinha and is it Neves in midfield. So he'll be important tomorrow, but I was surprised that he got the nod on Saturday, and for the first time this season just showed a little bit of fatigue of all the efforts he's put in.
And while Slot only made 3 changes, PSG rested 8 players. The captain was left out altogether, and Marquinhos. They're going to be fresh as well as really up for it coming to Anfield. Will that play into it, or is it Liverpool at Anfield? They will be a hell of a lot better than last week.
We can't be any worse. That's as bad as I've seen, and I'm just gobsmacked. We won 1-0. Imagine if we play well.
Yeah.
Hey, and to be fair, we haven't been the last few games. We haven't been at it. In second gear, as the fans are saying and all that. If we play like we did against Man City or Real Madrid, we'll beat them. It's as easy as that. They're a good team, but we made them look better than what they are at their place. And they've got some really good players. Dembele, the Georgian lad, obviously, in particular them two. But they've got some really good players, which if you're spending billions and billions over the years, you're going to have a good...
Yeah.
How they do it, I'll never know. But yeah, am I scared? No, I'm not. I was last week at their place, but this is Anfield, and Anfield's different, and the fans know after last week how to respond, and they will, and our players have got to respond, as I said before, and win the battle, win the battles, and we win the game. In my opinion, you've got to play well, obviously, but make sure we don't let them dominate individually and collectively as they did last week, because it was shocking, But look, we won. I seen something. I loved it on I think it was on TikTok or Twitter or whatever.
You on TikTok, Aldo?
No, now and again. I don't know what I'm on. I flick my phone up. I haven't got a clue what I'm watching. But it was 2 boxers, and this boxer's getting absolutely battered. And next minute, he just go bingo, and he bingoed this fella, and just went, and it just went Liverpool FC after the game.
PSG,
it tickled me. It was really good.
We'll touch a bit more on the title race with Arsenal. I know we touched on it at the start of the episode, but both of you, have you seen Arteta's interview with Sky?
Yeah, I did. So I didn't actually see the game. I got in just as it was finished, so I had the post-match on, and
He's become boring though.
Yeah,
I can't watch him now. Honestly, he's become boring a little.
Patrick Davison, wasn't it, of Sky? Who I think Arteta thinks the interview's finished, and he sort of stops and said, "One more Mikel title race now," and it's almost like, "Don't even bother asking me about that." And he just
So that what happened?
Yeah. So it wasn't necessarily storming off. It was almost like he thought the interview had finished, and then he gets asked that question, and it's the last thing he wants to answer after 5 minutes of talking through a 1-1 at a team he should have won, and then. Yeah, but it's interesting. I think he will be absolutely devastated. The City have had the season they've had, and they haven't been able to capitalise on it over the last few years. And if anything, I don't think they've ever been as far away from it as they have been in the last 3 years. Being 15 points behind in March. We know City have won the last 2, but I think it's been a lot closer run than that, hasn't it, at this stage of the season? So, yeah, injuries obviously played the part, but also a lack of intent outside of let's hope we get a few corners and free kicks, because they just don't create much.
And how do you find watching them, Aldo? Because they haven't got that centre forward. They've not gone out and got
Arsenal.
one. Yeah, Arsenal for so many years.
Okay, they scored the 7 goals in the week. That was like waiting for a bus, and then they just all come at once type of thing. And the team they played were pretty awful. I watched the game. So, I watched against Man United, and yet they play some really good stuff, as they have done the last few years under Arteta, up to the box, and it sort of flitters away. A lot of the shots at Man United were like, they weren't inside the box, and even the goal come from empty the box. A lot of them were like from Odegaard outside, just inside the box, and these type of things. They haven't got that little fella who can just the final touch to put in the back of the net, thankfully.
We look at the next couple of league games they've got. They play Chelsea at home for the game in hand when Liverpool have got the cup final, but then they've got Fulham at home and Everton away. Like we're saying, it's 15 points now. It could quickly get bigger and bigger, because those are 2 tough games. Another London derby for them, and then Everton at the moment.
I think they'll only get 5 points from that run. I think Chelsea at home on Sunday will be tough, given that, like we just said, then they can't create, they can't open teams up.
Yeah.
And Everton at Goodison Park, they're going to be right up for it, aren't they? They're one of the form teams since Moyes came back.
Around,
and Fulham at home, you'd expect them to beat, but.
You said the same with West Ham, though.
Fulham are good, though,
Yeah.
Fulham are good, though. They're a good team. I'm very, very impressed with what the manager's done. Look, we've got to play Fulham away. We've got some tough games, but, are we going to lose? How many games do we need to lose? 4?
So they obviously need a 15-point swing, so they need Liverpool to lose 5 games. And
Liverpool need 16 points from 7, but they've got a far superior goal difference. So really it's 15. But then you also play Arsenal at Anfield.
Well, that's the one. You win that, there's no coming back for Arsenal.
It should be done before then, when you look at how the fixtures go.
See, this is the interesting thing for me, because we're saying it as journalists and what we see the league table, and fans probably say similar to us. But you, as the ex-player, the ex-manager, it's not one yet.
One game at a time.
Yeah, I can't. It's just the way I've been. And don't forget, the one thing that I really I lose sleep over is the Arsenal game at home when we got beat the last kick of the season. That really was I was a kick in the guts. The way it happened after Hillsborough and everything, and the way it happened, and just going. I can use that as an example for tomorrow. It's not the be all and end all tomorrow, but. The team talk from the manager has got to be spot on. We're 1-0 up. And if we go into that game tomorrow trying to protect the 1-0, we'll struggle. We will struggle. We've got to go tomorrow. Okay, you've got to be right defensively, but we've got to go to win that game. Go out to win the game at all. Just go out. And not at all costs, but what we did in that game against Arsenal, we protected what we could lose 1-0. Then they scored, and we couldn't get out of the second gear.
Yeah.
We couldn't go again, and we just defended, and it was a bit of a shit game, and then that happened at the end. So, that's one thing that always comes back to me, to haunt me. Never take anything for granted type of thing.
We have got a few questions now, and a couple for you, Aldo. Obviously, you won the Golden Boot during your time at Liverpool, but how many goals do you think you'd score in this current team?
Oh, I don't know. Oh, geez, I wouldn't like to say. I don't know. I wouldn't like being rotated. And to be fair, the way I played, Haaland plays like I played. He gets the ball, he gives it and goes, His movements and his runs are brilliant, and his finishing's not bad neither. And that's what I used to do. So, if I was like our centre forward, I'd be moving, giving it to the midfield, giving it to Mo or to Gakpo, and then getting far post and all that. And to be fair, you'd get great service, but I wouldn't have got any more better service than I got off Barnsley or Houghton or Beasley. But I wouldn't know. Would have been for the goal. I'd like to think I'd be chasing for the Golden Boot, yeah.
I suppose the difference is now, with you're a traditional number 9, weren't you?
Yeah,
died in the wall, off the shoulder.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Nowadays, Liverpool have to rely on their wide forwards, don't they, for goals? Going back to Firmino's time. It's sort of changed from when Fowler was there, Torres.
Imagine how many Barnes would have scored if he was inverted on the right.
Well, Well, even our team, like I think, like I scored like 28 one season, 31. That's league and cup, I think. Barnsley was coming in with about 20 on both seasons. Peter, that's left wing. Peter would come in with like 18, and Ray Out would come in with 12. Steve McMahon would come in with like 8. Ronnie Whelan would come in about 6. Then, you know, the fullbacks, Stevie Nicol, he'd come in with like about 12. You know, so that's what I'm saying. So you just didn't have to depend. Even though it was nice for your centre-forwards to score, it came all around that team.
Yeah. And they've also got one on Arne Slot's style of play. So obviously Liverpool aren't as energetic now. It is a little bit more controlled. We've seen that the performance levels drop off a little bit in the last couple of games. But is it something where this time of the season you have to do that, and then you've got more energy in the tank later on? Are they better prepared for this run-in because it's the style of play?
I don't think it's no coincidence. Like when you're seeing the way we played under Jurgen, you know, even at 3-0 up, we were going, and we loved it. We loved it. You can never knock it. But you know, the way we play, it's more controlled. They conserve their energy a lot more now, and there's been less injuries. So I think that goes with it, doesn't it? In many ways. But we're very regimental. Like the first half Saturday, you're looking and it's like bump, bump, bump. You don't pass the ball like that. Even when you're playing like that, it's got to be crisp. We were taught by Ronnie Moran, smash the ball into him. If he can't control it, he won't have a Liverpool shirt on. Yeah. Because you've got to be able to control the ball. Pass it 2 yards in front, not to his feet, always in front. So you're always going on the positive side of things. So yeah, but it can be at times. But that's the way the manager wants it. And hey, look, we've only lost one game. I'm not counting Plymouth. They beat our reserve team. Yeah. PSG
same thing.
Beats our reserve team. This manager, we've lost one game. Touch wood. We've lost one game all season. And that is amazing. And if that means having to watch this type of football all day long, it's points and cups that matter. Yeah. And this manager has been absolutely brilliant. But I do think at times, like, we do need to. It's all well and good doing that, conserving the energy. Just a bit sharper, just a little bit sharper at times. Yeah.
I think one thing that might happen next week is there'll be some leaning into good relationships with national FAs from Liverpool to say, particularly Holland, don't play Ryan Gravenberch for 180 minutes over these next 2 weeks. Don't give it. Virgil might be a different kettle of fish because he's the captain, but depends what things are like with other nations. But can they sort of say, can you only give Szoboszlai X amount of minutes and whatever else? I'm not too sure who all these teams are playing and the importance of it all. But
I was just thinking that, is it qualifies? Is it
friendlies? Yeah, if there is some leeway to be made, I think Liverpool will try and make sure that it happens so the players aren't coming back knackered, essentially.
That sort of works a little bit now, doesn't it? I think that you've got to respect each other, and look, if it's qualifications, they have to play. But it's a friendly, come on, just play the game, innit?
Yeah, 100%.
Now, we always finish our podcast with picking our teams and choosing our score predictions. I'd imagine the back five is going to be one change at left back from you both. But
Robertson come back in. I thought he made a big difference on Saturday. Just as link up with Diaz, that wasn't happening first half, was it? With Tsimikas not doing much overlapping and stuff, and Robertson helped in that regard. So yeah, that's the one change for me.
You make the same one.
Yeah, it's whether he plays. Diaz comes in for Nunez. That's the only one. I think if Gakpo's coming back with a little bit of injury, he'll probably just keep him, on the bench. So that's the only. Yeah, I agree with Robbo will come back in, it'll either be Nunez or Jota. Sorry, I got that wrong. Jota, not Diaz.
Who are you picking up from?
So I think he might go with Nunez, give him a bit of a chance to build on what he's done in the last week. He unsettled PSG, didn't he, which Jota didn't do, and I think his pace will stretch them a bit. Like you were saying about battles, he was. I mean, Jota loves a little scrap, doesn't he? But I think Nunez will give them something different to think about.
Yeah, do you know, thinking about it now, I think it's a good shout.
So yeah, I think it's good
because we're talking about battles.
Be on the sideline for the Legends game in a couple of weeks.
I'm talking about battles, and I think that's massive tomorrow. I think they have to go out and prove to them that, like, look, we might have had a hard, and even though we won, go back, you got your chance in a rematch here to make sure you don't do it. And say to Nunez, don't be soft, don't do nothing, keep your elbows down, but just, their back foot, you run them ragged, you barge them, you not beat them up, but you fight them, and then that will lead the other players to breathe off. So I think, thinking about it now, I don't know what the manager's going to do. Will he go just? But I think I would start Nunez. Yeah,
he started against Real Madrid, didn't he? And he had a really good game, to be fair to him. So it's a similar sort of thing. Big European night, big team comes to Anfield. So I think he'll be well up for it, to be fair. And then on the left, it's just a case of Diaz or Gakpo, and seeing Gakpo back in training today is obviously a big plus.
It depends how much they were holding him back for this one. I know Slot denied it in his post-match.
He's lifting Alisson Becker off his feet at full time last week, so his ankle can't be that bad. So maybe they were just taking it precautionary with it only being Southampton. So I'll go on. I'll bring Gakpo back in as well, and obviously Mo. And
what do you think for the midfield? Because I suppose most times this season it's 4 into 3. We've pretty much guessed what Arne Slot's going to do, but with 2 of them being subbed at half time at the weekend, Elliott now sticking his hand up as well, it's suddenly become much harder. I don't think you
start with Harvey tomorrow. I don't think so. I think he'll go with his not the 3 that he's gone with most of the season. Szoboszlai, he'll have had the break on the Sunday. He's going to be all right. McAllister and Szoboszlai, yeah. And we haven't talked about today before we go. Endo. He's been brilliant. Honestly, God, he doesn't get another one. Doesn't get the accolade that he deserves, and Arne only brings him on for 10 minutes, 50. Sometimes I'm crying out in some certain games, like even Paris away, because he does such a great job sitting in there, and he's been underused this year. We'll have to wait and see what happens next year, but. He's been a vital member of the squad.
It's a very niche role he's got, hasn't he? He's just coming on just to keep things ticking over and ensure that it stays how it is.
That's right.
That's why I'll never get why he didn't come on the derby, and I'll say that.
Well, we all thought that, didn't we? Maybe that's just an overlook, but from the manager's side. And sometimes when you're the manager, you get into games and I need someone to say, I think because you do. You're only human, know what I mean? But you're spot on with that,
Score predictions, Liverpool going through?
Yeah, I think
tomorrow?
So. I think so.
Oh, 7-0. No. I sound like a Paris Saint-Germain player there, didn't I?
Yeah. I'll go 2-1 Liverpool to come through. What will that be, 3-1 in aggregate?
I think it'll be... I think it'll be goals. I'll go along with that. I'll go along with 2-1, yeah. I'd draw will be all right, I don't care, but, I'd really like us to show them the real Liverpool tomorrow.
Well, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
We're all being nice and positive. That's all we've got time for today. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for all your questions. Thanks to Gorsty, and a very special thanks to Aldo for coming in. Hopefully we'll have you in again soon.
Yeah, no problem.
I'll be back tomorrow for the post-match podcast after PSG, where Liverpool are hopefully in the quarterfinals of the Champions League. And we'll be back at the end of the week for your next edition of Blood Red, looking ahead to Sunday's League Cup final. The games don't get any smaller, do they? Thanks and goodbye.